Hey, welcome back. You are digging in the dirt with me, and we are going to do a follow-up for the seedlings that we started. And as you can see, everything is doing really, really great. We've got our black seed Simpson lettuce here getting nice and tall. A couple of weeks, we'll be able to go ahead and, really, you could start cutting from it now if you just wanted to do some microgreens, but everything is coming along beautifully. We've got our mixed lettuce in here, also doing amazing. After the first 2 weeks or so, I hit them with a really diluted form of maybe half strength fertilizer. And I'll get into that in a little while. But like I said, the lettuce is doing amazing. We've got our spinach coming along pretty nicely. We've got that second set of leaves. We call those true leaves coming in. So they're starting to get there. The spinach can linger a little bit longer. We're going to give them a little time. But what we do have to do today is definitely separate our Brussels sprouts. They're nice and healthy. Remember I told you we do two. See how I did them in the corners? Makes it really easy to pick out who's who. The stems aren't too long. We're getting our second set of leaves there, and we're looking good. These will probably grow okay together for another little while before we have to separate them. Now, remember, I told you I'd do 2 seeds in every pod because sometimes, like here, one of them just didn't come up. So this guy is going to be good to go in here. The rest of them, I'm going to have to separate them sooner or later, maybe today. What we definitely have to do today is separate the broccoli. As you can see, it's getting so big, it's falling over. As I told you, these, when we started them, some of them are nice. The stems are pretty decent, nice and thick, but some of them got kind of thin and spindly, but got leggy because I kept them too far away from the lights when we first started them. So here you can see I dropped a couple too many seeds. There's a lot of stems there. They're really thin and hanging over. They're leaning. So what we're going to do is we're going to pot these up. A couple of them I might not save, but we're going to show you how we get them potted up a little bit bigger. Like, see this guy here? He's looking a little weak. He's looking a little slim. We're not going to save him. We're going to go ahead and compost this guy, but we are going to go ahead and save his friend over here. So that's what we do. We have to make some hard decisions now, and that's always the tough part for me. We started them off with our sterile potting soil, right? We got the potting soil, and we had just sterilized it with boiling water, which was great when they were just seeds. But now we're going to go ahead and add some earthworm castings to them just to enrich the soil a little bit. So it's still the same seed mix that we started with, still dampened with our boiling water and covered with foil, and we let it cool off. But now I'm going to go ahead and add about a cup or so of the earthworm castings to it, just to fortify the soil a little bit, right? Maybe a cup and a half or so, just to give the plant something to eat. So let's go ahead and dig in some dirt, our favorite part. And we're just going to turn that over a little bit and make sure we have a steady supply of food to our plants. So if you look, when you take them out, you can see the root structure, right? You can see the roots coming in nicely. And all we do is hold them and we just break them right down the middle. And that is what happens if you planted them right far enough apart from each other. You can just break them apart just like that. 2 separate plants. All right, this one's looking good. And then just like before, now these are 3-inch peat moss Jiffy cups. You buy them, they come in a maybe 15 or so in a pack, about $3. But they're nice and big, and so they're going to give our plants a time to grow on their own. Let's go ahead and get him. And just some dirt. And hopefully they'll be able to stay in here. Their roots will be able to continue to grow, but they'll have a little more room now. He'll be by himself. He's not going to be competing with another plant in the same space, and we can give them plenty of nutrients and get them big and strong and healthy before we harden them off outside. And this is another reason why we start early, because if there's any problems and something doesn't work out, guess what? We have enough time to start over, right? Before we get outside. So the weather here in Georgia is getting a little bit crazy. Not sure what's going on. Lots of wind tonight. So we'll just have to see what happens. But in the next week or so, we're going to start the process of what they call hardening them off, which is taking them outside for an hour at a time or so, maybe a little longer. And we put them under the shade of my patio, right? Not direct sun, but we've got to get them used to wind. Now we do have, I do put them under the lights with a fan blowing on them to help them get a little stronger. But we want to make sure that they can withstand Mother Nature's sun when we get out there, sun and wind. So we're going to put them out for about an hour on the porch, under the patio. Okay, there you go. Roots are looking good. But you can see this one's really weak and falling over, so he's going to go in our compost pile. We're not going to save him. Okay, it's not saving that one. If you don't have a compost pile, go ahead and start one. That was one of the best pieces of advice I've gotten from some people. All right, I'm going to break up his root ball, just his dirt just a little bit there. Okay, get him on in. And like I said, I want to get him down deep enough so that I'm able to pack enough dirt around him to get him to stand up nicely. So these guys are going to be great. Broccoli gets pretty big, but I've got space in the beds for them already. Outside composting. Got the compost out there, some nutrients out there. It should be fine. So in a couple of weeks, well, after we get these guys in here good, I'm going to give them a good watering, and then we're going to leave them under the lights now for about maybe 10 hours a day. I cut it down a bit at this stage because they're a couple of weeks old. We start to water them, like I said, with about half strength liquid fertilizer. I like fish emulsion. I'll show you guys that one. Yep, there's our happy little broccoli. And we're just going to do the same for the rest of them. Here I put too many seeds in, right? So instead of just two, I must have dropped a few seeds in that one. So we've got this one over here, but he's really stretchy, really leggy. And then we've got like three in the same thing. Like I said, they're pretty hardy. So it's not that we couldn't separate them. And guys, it's really hard for me to give up on anything. So I gotta make, well, we've got the pots and we've got the resources. So why not give this guy a shot? We'll see if he makes a comeback. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. There's only one way to find out. My dog in the back running security. Now, tomatoes, you can usually plant them down deep like this because they have roots, hairs that'll form roots on their stem. But I have seen some people try it with broccoli, so I'm going to give it a shot. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. We'll try one pot with the super spindly ones, and we'll see if that experiment works, right? People have told me to try it. So we'll see if we have any success with this. Now, there's a lot of broccoli, right? I always overdo it. So these guys, because they're so thin and there's so many of them, and I don't need any more broccoli, right? We've got, what? I don't know if this guy's going to make it, right? He'll be fine, little son. But 3, 4, 5 heads of broccoli is a lot of broccoli. It's a lot. It's a lot. We'll maybe do one more. And the rest we will compost. We've got one that we're going to give a shot. One spindly one that we buried a little deep just to try it. I've heard about those hacks, right? I like to try garden hacks. Somebody said once that you can take one of these, right? See how easy it is to separate them out? So I've heard tell that you can almost not quite bury them upside down, but something like that. Watch this. They said to take it and put it in like that, and then almost fold it over like that, and to bury it that way, and that it would come back. Is it true, guys? I have no idea, but you know what? We're going to try it. We've got dirt, we've got pots, we've got time. See if it works. And we'll mark him, right? It's one of those garden hacks. We'll go ahead and mark him over here and see if folding it over like that actually does what they say it's going to do. So I'll put him over here. I'll put the tag in him so we know that he's the one we tried. All right. So that is how we pot up our broccoli. Like I said, we've got a couple that are just going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and put them in the compost bin. Right? We don't need to hang on to these guys. And this part's hard. You know, you grow something, it really is difficult to just say, you know what, I'm going to let it go. That's the hardest part for me, honestly, is this thinning part, right? The other way that you can thin things is that you can simply go ahead and snip them with a scissor. One, two, three, four, five, six. I really don't need another head of broccoli. I'm going to let these guys go into the compost bin. We'll hang on to the dirt because we love dirt here at Digging in the Dirt with Dee. Dirt's expensive, guys. And we're going to compost the rest of these seedlings because we don't need them. All right. And that is how you pot up, how you separate and pot up seedlings. It's the same process pretty much for all of them. We can do a Brussels sprout just so you can see. Like I said, he's looking great. He's by himself. He looks really good, right? Stems up. He's looking fine. These can probably make it in here really for another week or so. I think that's what I'm going to do. Give him another week. Let him be a little stronger. Oh, we got another single guy over here. He's okay. We're going to give him another week and see how they go. All right, so we've got worm castings and peat pots. And we are going to go ahead and put them back in. We will water them in. And I'll get another tray for these guys. We're going to water them in and put them back. And that's where we are for now. Thanks for watching.